Hello, my name is Steven, and I'm going to be talking to you for the next 20 minutes all about turning your DJ hobby into a full-blown professional business. I've been a small business owner since 2016, and I owe it all to DJing and all the experiences that it's given me. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to be the first one to tell you it's not easy, and never kid yourself that it might be. It takes a lot of hard work, and I don't know if you're anything like myself. I personally, before 2016, and I would say going back, let's say till about 2013, 2014, I knew nothing about business, not a thing. I had a really basic understanding about it. You get to write stuff off against your income as long as you purchase stuff that you used and utilized within your business. That's more or less where I ended my experience and knowledge. It took a lot of time to learn all the ins and outs and to make it a real successful go out of it. So I've always loved loud music. I love dancing on the dance floor. It's probably one of my favorite creative releases, DJing, and also enjoying the sound and the people around you and the whole environment that's been created. So when I got the idea in my head that I wanted to be a DJ, it really stemmed from the fact that I was on that dance floor and that I saw the people that were in charge of it, and it always boiled down to the person behind the decks, the one that was choosing the music. That was the person I wanted to be. They took a piece of music. They knew that the energy that it had, and they needed to transfer it to the dance floor. And if done right, everybody's going to dance their butts off. If it was done wrong, we're clearing that dance floor. But, sometimes there's a purpose for everything, and, you don't realize it till you're in it. But, long story short, I wanted to be up on that stage, and I wanted to play my music. I wanted to play it loud, and I wanted everyone else to enjoy it. And, off I went on my journey. I was 19. It was 1999, and I wanted to play music, and started self-teaching myself. Bought some thrift store turntables, and put together a mixtape with a friend of mine. We went halfers on a stack of vinyl, and away we went. We got booked for a couple of bar gigs. Eventually got sucked into some raves. I was playing sets there, and everything was really good. I was having a lot of fun. I got invited back after getting up on stage, and I got to progressively get better at what I was doing and got consistent gigs from it. Now, mind you, I wasn't getting paid enough to supplement my income. No way. I've always worked a 9 to 5. I'm a hard worker. Working at 9 to 5 paid my bills, paid for a purchase of a home, car, my insurance, my taxes. Everything was taken care of for me. All I knew at that time was if I worked really hard, I was good at what I was doing, and was always trying to do my best, I can always rely on myself to provide the opportunities to keep working, to keep making that money, to keep all my commitments taken care of. So I needed a creative release at that time when I was young, and that's where DJing came in. It was a great way to do it. I got paid sometimes at the bars, just enough to maybe pay for some drinks for some friends and pay for some new music purchases along the line. But majority of all my hobbies, financial commitments, was being paid for by my 9 to 5. So although I was getting more consistent gigs here and there, I was I was never making a full go out of it. And at the time, I didn't even think that was going to be possible. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun on the side and, entertain people at the same time. Well, as things kept on progressing and as time went on, my family knew I was doing this. My friends knew I was doing this. They're having fun at some of the events. And eventually I started getting asked to do more commercial events. Family and friends started reaching out, seeing if I wanted to do a fundraiser, doing safe grads, doing socials. Those are like little miniature fundraisers for wedding events for anyone that's not from Manitoba or haven't heard of the custom. Here, if you have a wedding in the summertime, typically you're having a social in the spring. It's just a chance to get everybody together, as many people as the venue can handle, with a dance floor, a bar, raffles, and all aiming to make some money to put towards their future wedding. But anyways, with doing those kind of gigs, it was a lot more commercial. When I was hitting the bars for my sets, it was still more of a dance music scene. I brought an hour's worth of dance music with me, whether it was house, trance, drum and bass, whatever I was playing at the time. That's what I brought with me. I didn't have to bring anything extra. I wasn't in charge of the whole night. I had my 1 hour to take care of, and I was good. So it was good for a long time. It was a hobby. It was fun, a real blast. And once I started getting asked to do the commercial things, well, now I gotta get more music. I'm gonna be in charge of that whole night. I have to bring a sound system with me now. So slowly, all these little pieces started coming together, and more responsibility started shifting onto my shoulders, which was great. Eventually, in 2009, I decided, well, that's it. I'm going to purchase my own sound system. I was married at that point, and I needed to ensure that I wasn't taking any money out of the family fund, and I needed to really needed to make sure that it was self-sufficient. That was probably my first business plan, actually. It was knowing that I was going to make a substantial purchase. I was going to utilize all that equipment, and I know I was going to have fun doing it, but I also had to make sure it paid for itself. That was my number one goal, make sure that it paid for itself. So that's step number one into becoming more business orientated. I'm sure a lot of people have listened up until now. They're already there, already playing gigs. You got your insurance, you got your association, you're part of it, and you're going. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. So here I am. I needed to pay for my equipment. I said I'm going to pay for all my equipment within a year's time. I'm going to take a bunch of gigs and make sure I charge some monies so I can get us all taken care of. So I decided I gotta do something. I gotta sell this. I gotta make sure I have enough on the plate. And that's when I decided to go into my first marketplace, which was Kijiji, of all places. I didn't know nothing about business. Like I said, this is my very first business plan that I concocted in my head and figured out, well, this is how business works. You purchase something and you gotta pay for it somehow. So let it pay for itself. That was my thought process. And that's how I went about it. I set my price pretty low. I was one of those bottom feeders. I'll be the first one to admit to it. And I was selling my price. I had no idea what I was doing when it came to business, let alone knowing that this was going to be the stepping stone that really launched everything. So, I was charging between $250 to $300 an event. That brought my $3,000 sound system out with me. All I needed to do was about 10 to 15 gigs in and around there to keep things going, pay for my gas, the music, all the licensing, and all that fun stuff. And very quickly, I realized that people can get paid a whole lot more. The reason I realized that was that I met two individuals, David Turnier and Brian Podworthy. Super great people. They had just come back from a mobile beat where they met one and only Mark Farrell. If nobody's familiar with him, definitely make sure you get familiar. I know he's doing a presentation, him and his wife Rebecca. And they put a presentation together that Brian and David had heard, Getting What You're Worth. I didn't realize you can get quite a bit of money for DJing. It was my first time hearing about it and realizing I was leaving a lot of money on the table. But I knew, and I wasn't naive, I knew that they were doing something greater than just stepping up, playing music on the sound system that they brought. I know it had to have been more, because there's no way, in my mind's eye, that you can just do that and get paid what a DJ should be worth. And it took a while to figure out what that worth was, what that value really was. That value is knowing and being confident that you are the reason why people are having fun. You are the reason that the event is successful. You have to take responsibility for that success, and you have to take full responsibility for its lack thereof, if there is a lack. But like I said, I was still very new to business. I still didn't know quite what to do and how to do it. I've now been exposed to the idea of doing it better and the idea of making more. I didn't quite realize what it was going to take. I can say that now. Back then, I was just an open book. I didn't know what was going to be written on my pages at that time. But I knew there had to be some sort of process. I was kind of waiting in the wings. And David and Brian, they had alluded to it. Mark and Rebecca, they encouraged you to think about it and to think about the different things that a DJ really has to offer. I actually ended up signing up with their Master of Ceremonies courses, silver and bronze. Probably one of the best things I've done at that time when it comes down to it, for sure. So the business aspect really didn't come into fruition and didn't really become part of my plan until a few years later. At the time, I had ended up going through a divorce. I was no longer with my wife. I actually put DJing on hold for a moment, and I was still working my 9 to 5. Now, my job was working with the city of Winnipeg, paying really good money. I didn't have to overexert myself. I was in a position where I knew what I was doing, but it was also becoming a little monotonous, and I had a lot of life things going on that needed a kickstart and a change. And I never sold off any of my DJ equipment, and I always knew I've always wanted to fall back onto it and get back into things. So this is end of 2012, well 2013, and I'd already taken my courses with Mark and Rebecca. I've already been DJing on the weekends, and you know what? Now is the time to really make it a real go out of it and really explore what it was going to take to figure out whether or not I was going to be able to walk away from my full-time job. And it took a lot of growth, took a lot of reading, education, and this is all done on my own. Nobody's going to push you as hard as you're going to push yourself, and that's the bottom line. I knew for a fact that I had a really strong work ethic, and if I could push that ethic into learning what I needed to learn, I knew at the time I would be okay. And that's what I based it around. I said, I'm going to put as much effort as I possibly can into the things that I need to do in order to figure out a game plan to get going on my own as a small business, and to do that professionally. I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and shortly after, Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold and the 10X Rule. Those 3 books, in my mind's eye, really, really set the tone. It gave me an opportunity to figure out that you have to be of service. Number 1, it's me. I'm the one that I'm selling myself, and I have to have something worth selling. The next step was figure out how to sell. Now, anyone who ever has heard of Grant Cardone, he has there's sales processes and stuff that you can get into, but they're very generic and vague. You really have to build it into your own business, and you can do it. It's not a problem at all. But he doesn't have any DJ experience, doesn't have any of that kind of know-how. What I ended up doing was I still needed more resources. So my mind has already been set on it's possible. How to do it was becoming more clear. I started to discover other DJs and presenters within our community. Peter Mary, Randy Bartlett, Bill Herman. All these guys were making it available for anyone to really reach out and purchase their content. And like I said, you can purchase all the content in the world you want, but if you don't put that work ethic behind that drive, then it won't really matter. You can have it all sitting on a shelf and it won't do you any good. But I know myself, my work ethic and my commitment to this process really, really drove home when I started seeing the content and starting to digest that content. It wasn't until I really started applying it afterwards and seeing the results that it really started to click. And I started asking for more money for the things that I had to sell, which was myself and the services that I provided. Now, it's not for everybody, but you know what? Even during COVID times right now, I can tell you that you're going to be okay. For anyone that's even remotely considered going full-time, walking away from their 9-to-5 to pursue this, it's still very, very worthwhile to look at all the different avenues. Right now is probably going to be the best time to fine-tune what you need, how to sell yourself, what you actually have to sell, and make sure you can present it in a way that your future clients can see value in it. If you're already one that is collecting referrals and is booking gigs up until last year, and people are just waiting to get back and being able to do their new events and their weddings and their fundraisers, corporate stuff. Everybody's waiting to get back into it. Right now, if you're willing to do it, willing to put that effort in and start looking at how to do that for yourself and how to do that full time, this is the perfect opportunity. There's going to be probably within the next year, things are going to go back to where we can get back together and celebrate with more and more people again. And if you're ready for it, you'll be just fine. People were talking about playlist DJs, Spotify's, and sound system rentals, and you know what? That's not going to even be. That'll be the last thing on your mind, because those things won't matter at all. We've already been living in a time where you're just listening to playlists constantly. I yearn for a live event. I yearn to see a DJ play again so I can hit the dance floor and let somebody else take over for the night. I don't want to be strapped down to a playlist. And nobody here wants to do a celebration and knows that those setups don't work. You're in such a great position right now that you can go out there and you can start selling just on that fact alone, knowing that you're going to be there and be the ones that are going to be helping out and doing what you need to do for those events. So, I really encourage you guys to look at all the different books. If you want, you can always reach out to me directly. My name is Stephen Petznick on Facebook and such. Be sure that, we can help each other out. If you have any questions, concerns, or you want to talk about what I presented today, I'd love to talk to you a bit more about it and encourage you to really look at doing what it takes to become a professional at DJing, to do this for a living, because it is possible. All right, thanks.